Life consisted of ups and downs. The ups, remembered and cherished, might have been grand or mundane, like a simple impromptu karaoke session with family. This story, I'm sad to say, was not about that. Evelyn Wang burst into the room almost sprinting, energy crackling in her veins, defying the usual expectations for her 55 years. Her steps, precise and deliberate, were more than just movements. They were performances. Her long-sleeve polo shirt, adorned with tiny floral patterns, served as an unlikely uniform on this everyday stage. Silver streaks decorated her hair. Those glasses, relics from past fashion trends, didn't merely rest on her nose. They crowned her with an enigma, setting her apart from the ordinary world. In her orbit, a small dining room buzzed with wild, eclectic energy. Dumbbells cozied up to business manuals. An odd couple indeed. In the room's corner, the glow of a $50 flat screen illuminated and broadcasted what was happening in the laundromat below, their longtime family business. There were 9 separate squares that showed every inch of this laundromat. There was, safe to say, nothing extraordinary at all that morning. The rice cooker belched out clouds of steam, a dragon amidst the fray while the microwave counted down, ready to launch into its beeping crescendo. This wasn't a mess. It was a cacophonous canvas of Evelyn's life. Settling into her paper throne, Evelyn exhaled, the sea of documents around her swirling with memories, each a snapshot of choices made and roads taken. Her fingers picked up a receipt, pausing at the crossroads of decision. In which pile did this relic of the past belong? Doubt crept near, but Evelyn, ever the commander, held it aloft, seeking guidance from the ether. Then, like a twist in a well-loved tale, a hand darted into her world, seizing the receipt with the grace of a stage magician. It was Waymond, her husband, with his square glasses and his signature ill-fitting polo shirt. But more than anything, it was his smile, a silent promise, that spoke volumes in the buzzing symphony of their lives.
Stop playing. We don't have time.
Evelyn snapped in Cantonese, her tone leaving no room for argument.
I know better than to offer to help you, but is now a good time to talk about something else?
Waymond replied in the same language, his fingers tightening around the stack of papers, betraying his underlying tension. He moved next to Evelyn.
I'm listening.
Evelyn conceded in English, her words crisp.
Talk.
She snatched the stack of papers from Waymond's grasp. Waymond snatched the stack of papers back.
What's going on with you?
Evelyn retorted.
I know you aren't listening. Let's talk later when we have time.
Waymond continued in Cantonese, his plea punctuated by the rice cooker's persistent beeping. Evelyn moved with practiced ease to attend to the appliance, a wisp of steam rising like a surrendered white flag, yet her eyes never strayed far from the battlefield of paperwork.
I have to finish all of this before my father wakes up.
She opened the rice cooker and grabbed the rice paddle.
Go steam the tablecloths for tonight, then paint over the water stain on the ceiling,
she instructed without missing a beat, her focus on fluffing the rice with the paddle, the movement of her wrist deliberate.
Already did,
said Waymond. Evelyn moved to a laptop, her fingers flying over the keyboard.
Also,
Waymond continued,
I just talked to Byron about tonight. The men's choir has a very fun surprise for...
Waymond attempted, but Evelyn, ever the multitasker, interrupted, her thoughts already several steps ahead.
Noodles,
she said.
Help me cook the noodles.
She returned to the table with a sea of receipts on it. Waymond moved to the pot of noodles at the other corner of the kitchen. He then tried to circle back to their earlier topic, his words cautious but hopeful.
So we'll talk later after our appointment, like this afternoon?
5 minutes.
What?
Check the pot in 5 minutes. My father hates overcooked noodles,
she said. Waymond began talking again, but she cut him off before he could finish.
Which paint did you use?
The white paint?
Waymond replied, navigating his way back from the chaos of the kitchen. But his words seemed to jangle Evelyn's nerves even more.
We have 2 different white paints, one for the laundromat and one for the apartment. It has to match or else...
All right, all right.
He went next to her and kneeled there, his hand touching her arm ever so gently.
Evelyn, calm down, please.
Waymond interjected.
I know you want everything to be perfect for your father's party, but he's going to see you've nurtured a happy family and a successful business. He'll be proud of you.
You're crazy. You know that's not what my father is going to see.
Waymond grabbed her chair and turned Evelyn so that they were facing one another.
But it's what you and I see, right?
In the space of a heartbeat, Wayman's words seemed to weave a brief spell of calm around Evelyn, though her quick scanning eyes, darting over the room's familiar landscape, whispered of unquiet thoughts. She sighed. Abruptly, a ghostly echo filled the space.
Evelyn!
It was an old voice, demanding, coming from their extra room.
My girl!
Evelyn cursed in Cantonese and grimaced.
He's awake.
She stood up to tend to the owner of the voice, but before she could go to him, the buzzer coming from the flat screen cried for attention. Evelyn's eyes snapped to the security feed.
Go set the table. He must be hungry. I'll get the door.
She stood up and made her way to the door. She left the apartment, the door closing behind her with a gentle thud.
We'll talk later.
Wayman's voice trailed off, tinged with a surrender he couldn't disguise, but Evelyn was already a ghost, her presence vanished. He took a deep sigh. He was a solitary figure now. His company, the haunting silence, and a sheaf of papers which, when flipped, screamed the unspeakable petition for dissolution of marriage. The syllables of that phrase pressed down on his psyche, a cruel counterpoint to the chaotic symphony of a pot rebelling on the stove again. Elsewhere in the laundromat's twilight, Joy Wang was a portrait of stillness amidst a world in motion. Her hoodie, a couple of sizes too big, hung loosely, shrouding her contours, and her eyes held a distant stare towards the spinning clothes behind the concave glass of a random dryer. But then, connection, a kiss to the cheek, known and safe, disrupted the cycle. Becky, heart to Joy's heart, breached the void with that singular act. Followed by many smooches, Joy welcomed her warmth and smiled as she felt all the kisses given.
Hey.
Joy said, her heart beating a little too quickly.
Thanks for doing this.
Becky murmured, each word wrapped in the soft fabric of appreciation and affection. Joy brushed her dark hair.
You look really pretty right now.
She coaxed her hair some more into strategic disarray, hiding the rebellious statement of Becky's side shave. A playful defiance sparkled in Becky's response as she cocked her head, a smirk dancing on her lips.
Oh, you like this hot Mormon look?
Joy eased down Becky's sleeves, a tender gesture to conceal the tattooed stories on her forearms.
I'm just telling you now, in case my mom says something dumb like you're fat or whatever.
Joy said. A soft chuckle bubbled from Becky's throat.
You said when she says stuff like that, it means she cares.
Their candor broke as the door barged into the scene. Evelyn was already there, her eyes like surgical blades, slicing from Joy to Becky, lingering an extra beat on Becky, as if piecing together an unseen puzzle.
Hi, Evelyn.
She looked away and corrected herself.
Mrs. Wang. Hey, Mom.
Joy's words tiptoed, treading carefully. Without missing a beat, Evelyn's retort carried a frosty edge.
I only cooked enough food for 3 people. Now I have to cook more.
Words dispensed, she spun around, departing with her verdict hanging in the air. Evelyn ascended the stairs. She reached the second floor and entered their apartment, closing the door behind her.
It's Joy. She brought Becky.
She told Waymond. Waymond, with a platter of food in his hands, interjected with a reminder.
Remember? We told Miss Deirdre Joy would come to avoid any more miscommunications, so Becky is here to help watch Gong Gong.
He placed the platter on the table with the sea of receipts. But his words barely had time to settle when Becky and Joy bridged the distance. The two entered after 2 silent knocks.
Hi.
Joy greeted, her voice as if she'd just woken up.
Hi, honey.
Waymond said. Becky's voice was a warm ember,
Hi, Mr. Wang.
returning the kindness.
Hi, Becky.
Waymond's smile softened the room.
Thank you for coming. Please call me Waymond. Here, sit.
Evelyn, sovereign of her domain, handed Joy a battalion of bowls, leading the charge to the kitchen. Her movements, usually a ballet at the stove, were more mechanical, her strain on the noodles too forceful, her dance with soy sauce and garnishes less graceful.
He doesn't have to stay, you know.
Evelyn said. Confusion knit Joy's brows.
Who?
With an evident mix-up, Evelyn responded with a single word.
Becky.
The correction was gentle but firm, with Joy anchoring her girlfriend's truth.
Becky is a she.
Evelyn exhaled, her patience fraying as she sought to unravel her linguistic knot.
You know me. I always mix up he and she. In Chinese, it's just one word, ta, so easy. And the way you two are dressed, I'm sure I'm not the only one calling her he. I mean, calling him, ugh. Anyway, my English is fine. We have Google, so you don't have to come and be a translator. You stay here and she can go.
Without pausing for pushback, Evelyn commandeered the pot, marching into the dining room, with Joy shadowing her arms burdened by vacant bowls.
Look, I honestly think it's weird, okay?
Joy said, as both of them went to a smaller table.
But Becky wants to help.
She looked at Becky.
Right, Becky?
Becky, her voice a banner for her cause, asserted,
I always learn something when I hang out with the elderly. Old people are very wise.
Interrupting the exchange, Evelyn's focus was steadfast.
It's okay. We'll take Gong Gong with us to the meeting. You and Becky can stay here and decorate.
She turned away to get more utensils. Waymond, in Cantonese, asked,
Does your dad even know that we're being audited?
Oblivious to the layered conversation, Becky inquired with genuine enthusiasm.
Where is he? When can I meet him?
Evelyn's pause was a visible swallow of discomfort. Joy cleared her throat. The door buzzer cut sharply through the tension. Evelyn's eyes snapped to the security feed, identifying a figure lingering at the downstairs counter. Duty beckoned.
Customers eat fast.
Command given, she strode toward the exit. Becky immediately looked at Joy with unspoken words. Her eyes darted towards the fast walker, Evelyn. Joy rolled her eyes, turned, and followed her mum. Evelyn's descent down the stairs was purposeful, her heels striking a rhythm against the floor. Joy's steps a soft echo in her wake.
Mom.
Joy called. The plea bounced in the corridor.
What?
Mom, just wait.
Evelyn, momentum unbroken, tossed words over her shoulder.
Wait. There's no time to wait today.
Just please.
Reaching a door, they transitioned into the laundromat. Evelyn wove between laundry carts and patrons, the space a mirror of her multifaceted passions. An arcade relic cornered, a TV reliving a classic musical's glory, and signs promising everything from laundry chores to vocal lessons.
Joy, any other time, I beg you to come and eat or call me or anything.
Evelyn's voice cracked, weariness seeping through.
But today, very busy.
Mid-stride, Evelyn halted. Her eyes snagged on an anomaly, a water stain camouflaged by Waymond's hurried paintbrush, betrayed by a mismatched white.
Wrong white paint.
The pause allowed Joy space to breathe, to speak.
Mom, this is literally what it's always like. I know you haven't always liked Becky, okay, but...
I like Becky.
Evelyn cut in, her voice firm.
She is very nice.
Joy tried to continue.
But...
Evelyn went to a washer and removed googly eyes from above a makeshift out-of-order sign. She threw those adorable eyes on the floor with conviction. Evelyn pressed on.
You are very lucky your mother is open to you dating a girl, and she is a white girl.
She's half Mexican.
Evelyn walked to another dryer, opened it, and pulled out a pair of blue shoes.
Ugh.
She turned and threw the shoes in the basket of a customer.
No shoes in the washer. Broken, you pay, ah.
She faced Joy.
But Gong Gong, his heart cannot take it, especially after such a long flight. You want him to come all the way from China just to die like that?
Joy, taken aback by her mother's frankness, quickly retorted,
He's not going to die.
Evelyn went behind a counter, which was a small room with one big open window to separate her from all her customers. Joy followed inside. A customer entered, one who stood out due to her pronounced nose. Beside her, a baby carriage rocked, its silence indicating an unusual occupant. Evelyn, with her customary bluntness, greeted her in Cantonese.
Wow, what a big nose.
She smiled at her and greeted her in English.
How can I help you?
But the customer was on her earphone, conversing with someone else.
Just hold on. I can't hear you. Just hold on.
The customer, sounding a mix of frustrated and expectant, faced Evelyn.
Yeah, I'm here to pick up some shirts. I called like 3 times and...
Interrupting with practiced authority, Evelyn demanded,
Okay, give me your ticket. I'll find it for you.
As the customer rummaged through her purse and simultaneously talked in stern sentences to whoever was on her phone, Joy's attention was drawn to the carriage's unexpected occupant, a snug French bulldog staring at her with its short tongue hanging out.
I found it.
The customer announced. Evelyn, quick as ever, snatched the ticket from her hands. She then moved with purpose to the sacks of washed clothes. All of them were placed right above the stainless steel dryers at the other end of the laundromat. Using her foot, she kicked a small stool to the base of the dryers. She stepped on the stool and searched through the sacks.
We've been together for 3 years.
Joy said,
Don't you think Gong Gong would want to know?
Evelyn, her demeanor reflecting the sagacity age often bestows, softly interjected,
Let him enjoy his party tonight.
She kept searching for the right sack. Joy's frustration simmered in her voice.
Yeah. You think Becky is going to get through the whole party without introducing herself to Gong Gong?
Evelyn stepped down from the stool and kicked it to a different spot. But before it could land in the desired place, a foot wearing a worn-down rubber shoe stopped it. The simmering tension between mother and daughter was sharply interrupted by Rick's familiar voice, a playful undercurrent in his feigned distress.
Evelyn! Guess whose 20 got eaten by the machine again?
Rick, a flamboyant regular whose presence was as ingrained in the laundromat as the seasoned machines, seemed to command the room's attention. Evelyn, ever resourceful, grabbed a baseball bat from its resting place. With practiced ease, she thumped the handle against a stubborn, dented vent in the ceiling.
Waymond, customers need you.
Her voice amplified in the tight space.
All right, I'm coming!
Waymond's voice echoed through the vent. Rick sidled closer to Evelyn, his breath theatrically deep.
Evelyn, you know my wife used to wear that same exact perfume, God rest her soul.
Evelyn caught his nuance, eyes twinkling with unspoken understanding.
Are you coming to the party tonight?
Her voice laced with familiarity, recognizing the charade. In response, Rick, embracing his eternal role as jester, brandished a party invitation, his grin broad and impish. Accustomed to Rick's theatrics, Evelyn's smile conveyed a mix of amusement and resignation. She gave him a thumbs up. However, her focus was promptly diverted to Waymond entering the laundromat, with Becky close behind him.
Did you move our customers' clothes? 42 is missing.
She inquired, the edge in her voice belying her growing irritation. Waymond, sheepish under scrutiny, responded hastily.
Sorry, it was too crowded here, so I moved some upstairs. I think the clothes are happier there.
Evelyn whisked herself back to the apartment with swift, silent urgency. Joy, trailing her mother's shadow, paused by Becky. With a gentle, mimed inhalation, Becky wordlessly implored her to breathe deeply. Upon re-entering the shadow-draped apartment, Evelyn and Joy were greeted by an uncanny display. Above the security cam TV, garments enshrouded in plastic dangled from a shelf adorned with hastily affixed googly eyes and a crudely drawn smile. Waymond's voice trickled from the door, his mischievous lilt unmistakable even from a distance.
See? They're happier here.
Evelyn's brow creased in a frown, her tone brooking no argument.
I told you to take down all of the googly eyes.
She ripped the eyes off the 042 sack.
No more googly eyes.
She threw them on the floor. Attempting to diffuse the mounting tension, Joy interjected,
Mom, can we please talk about Becky?
Yet Evelyn was engrossed in plucking off the googly eyes that besieged the sacks, her movements growing increasingly terse with each removal, filling the air with silent aggravation. Pivoting towards Joy, Evelyn's expression softened slightly, though weariness shadowed her features.
Your father. After all this time, I still don't know what he's thinking.
Can Becky come tonight or not?
Joy tried, seeking an opening. Evelyn, however, sliced through her attempt.
Stop changing the subject. You know, it's like our auditor. She's a terrible person. She keeps targeting the Chinese in the community. You know, after 2 years of meetings, she put a lien on our laundromat. And you know what your father did? He brought her cookies.
She threw her hands up, exclaiming in Cantonese,
Crazy person.
As Evelyn's words spilled out, the security camera feed in the corner caught Waymond in a curious act. His movements were sudden, his head snapping forward, then craning to surveil the store. Seconds later, he made a beeline for a supply closet, shoving items haphazardly into Evelyn's purse and his fanny pack. Evelyn's voice wove back into the foreground, frustration marbling her affection.
Every day here is a battle. I try to make our lives easier and simpler.
She sighed, looked at Waymond on the camera feed and said in Cantonese,
But your father...
Evelyn watched Waymond's theatrical mock dance with Rick, both of them next to the coin machine. Her sigh was a mix of endearment and exasperation.
Sometimes I wonder how he would have survived without me.
She confessed softly, her voice a cocktail of affection, frustration, and ponderous curiosity. The scene melded into the laundromat's familiar chaos. Evelyn, re-entering the fray, spotted Waymond still in front of the coin machine, mischief sparkling in his eyes. Rick, attuned to Waymond's antics, joined in the laughter, his eyes alight with shared camaraderie.
Evelyn, you have to see Rick dance. Look, he knows all the moves.
Waymond gushed, gesturing to the old TV where a classic musical played. Rick, spirited, mimicked the elegant steps, earning amused applause.
He's quite the talent, huh?
Waymond didn't pause for her response.
He's in community theater. Wants to be an actor just like you once did.
He switched to Cantonese, a playful gleam in his eyes.
Maybe you can audition too.
Behind them, just in the next aisle, Evelyn overheard Joy as she approached Becky.
I could effing kill myself.
She whispered. But Evelyn didn't mind this. Her eyes only lingered on the television screen hanging over the laundromat, where a couple's passionate dance culminated in a heartfelt kiss. A wistful expression crossed her features, the scene seemingly unearthing memories from the depths of her past. The corners of her mouth twitched, hinting at an internal dialogue only she was privy to, betraying a small smile. Snapping back to reality, Evelyn delved into her basket, retrieving a sack of folded laundry. 042, she handed it to Waymond, her instructions succinct in Cantonese.
Give this to the customer with the big nose.
Rick, meanwhile, reveled in the afterglow of his impromptu performance.
How much did you lose?
Evelyn pivoted towards him, practicality overshadowing the moment's sentiment.
20.
Rick responded, his tone light.
But I take tips.
Evelyn rummaged through her purse, her movements sharp. She plucked a couple of bills and gave them to Rick. Joy closed the distance to Becky, her voice a fierce whisper ensuring their privacy.
I don't know how to be any clearer.
She seethed, tension etching her features.
She can choose. Either you come to the party with me, Gong Gong is eternally ashamed until he forgets it all happened, and then he dies. Or we don't come. Gong Gong is proud of Mom until he forgets it all, and then he still dies. What?
Becky's reply was only silence. She looked sideways, and finally she looked at Evelyn right behind Joy. Evelyn recoiled as the words sliced through the air. Her gasp was involuntary, her eyes a mix of hurt and disbelief as they met Joy's.
What are you saying?
She asked, her mouth agape. Joy's facade fractured under her mother's gaze, understanding crashing into her like a wave.
That was a joke.
Waymond, the ever-steady presence, frowned, his disapproval evident.
That's not a very funny joke, honey.
A cocktail of emotions swirled within Joy. A surge of defensiveness, battling her rising concern.
Mom?
She exhaled, a plea laced within. Attempting to diffuse the heaviness, Rick presented to Evelyn what she'd given him.
This is only $10. I thought you people were very good with math.
Evelyn faced Rick. Waymond, sensing the need for intervention, began,
Evelyn?
Mom.
Joy called out, yet Evelyn stood her ground, fire lacing her retort towards Rick.
Next time I'll give you the rest with interest. You'll need it. Actors are very poor.
Joy interjected sharply.
Mom!
What?
Joy gestured urgently behind Evelyn, drawing her attention to a collective focus that pulsed with familial concern. Evelyn, sensing the gravity, turned from Joy to discover Gong Gong at the stairwell. His frailty was unmistakable, his cane a stark testament to time's wear, yet a vivid sharpness lived in his eyes, slicing through the heavy air of his advancing years.
Baba, how did you get down here?
Evelyn's voice careened through the tension, a blend of alarm and tenderness. She went to her father. Gong Gong, steady in his aged timbre, responded in Cantonese, his immediate concern laid bare.
Where is breakfast? Quickly, food. Don't you know that I'm hungry?
Under Gong Gong's disdainful gaze, a wordless exchange connected Evelyn and Waymond, prompting him to hurry to her side. Seeking to anchor Gong Gong in the moment, Evelyn gestured towards Joy and Becky, a gentle prompt hanging in the air.
Baba, you remember Joy?
She asked in Cantonese. Waymond, on the other hand, placed the 042 sack on a table and stealthily went upstairs to the apartment.
Oh!
Gong Gong's eyes widened as he saw his granddaughter. Approaching with tentative steps, Joy's voice found a warm, if cautious, cadence in Cantonese.
Gong Gong, hello, how was your trip? How's your airplane?
Unfazed, Gong Gong's reply bore his characteristic bluntness, the words in Cantonese carrying a rough affection.
So your Chinese is getting worse every time we talk.
Yes.
Joy said, still in Cantonese.
Gong Gong, this is Becky. Becky is my...
Her words, once rushing, now stumbled, her anxiety spilling over. In English.
Shit, how do you say it?
Now back in Cantonese.
She is my...
Evelyn, ever the mediator, stepped into the fray, her words in Cantonese flowing like calm waters.
Good friend. Becky is a very good friend.
Joy's frustration erupted.
Mom.
Her eyes were ablaze with disappointment, the words she didn't say crackling in the space between them. Amidst the turmoil, Becky's smile stood in stark contrast, a beacon of unaware optimism. But Evelyn, adept at navigating tempests, suddenly veered course as she saw the customer asking for the 042 sack exiting the laundromat.
Ah, big nose.
She grabbed the 042 sack, and with the laundered items in tow, she dashed out, following the customer without a word to her daughter. Seizing the moment, Joy whispered a lifeline, tugging Becky gently.
Come on.
Her voice held a hushed urgency, steering them both toward a needed escape, the exit to the building. Becky, exiting with a gentle air of grace, turned with a friendly farewell toward Gong Gong.
It was nice to meet you.
She said with 2 thumbs up, which Gong Gong mimicked with a smile. The door whispered shut, the room suddenly too vast for the silence it cradled. Waymond, re-entering the quietude, balanced a bowl of aromatic noodles, the steam curling into the stillness. He and Gong Gong locked eyes. Outside, life unfolded in mundane rhythms. Debbie, the dog mom, engrossed in her routine, nestled her dog into her car. Evelyn, laundry clutched in her arms, advanced.
Hi, here is 5-star cleaning.
Evelyn called out to the dog mom customer, handing her the 042 sack.
Also, there is a Chinese New Year party tonight, open to all customers in the community.
Thank you.
Debbie drawled, sarcasm heavy in her tone.
Please come and enjoy. We have good music, good food.
All right, this is fine.
I'll get you an invite.
Evelyn's eyes suddenly chased Joy's retreating form, almost reaching the car.
Moment?
She said to the dog mom with the big nose.
Moment, please, please.
She ran towards Joy. Closing the gap, Evelyn's words were edged. A mother's concern veiled in criticism.
Joy, wait, please, I have something to say to you.
With the car door already opened, Joy stopped and faced Evelyn.
What?
There was a hint of a smile when she looked at how big her daughter had grown.
You
Evelyn couldn't find the words.
have to try to eat healthier.
She nodded, as if satisfied with what she'd said.
You are getting fat.
Joy's expression shuttered, her emotions barricaded within. A charged glance flickered between her and Becky, a silent pact in the tension. Without a word, Joy's response was the definitive click of the car door closing. Evelyn watched Joy drive away, her shoulders sagging because deep down she knew what she'd done wrong. She knew that it was wrong. The dog mom, on the other hand, from waiting too long, said screw it, and drove away as well. Deflated, she returned to the laundromat's familiar embrace to tend to her aging father. Evelyn and her father navigated the apartment's staircase, each step a laborious undertaking, not for the old, but for her as well. The physical ascent mirrored her internal climb, a chaos all pent up inside of her. Once inside the apartment, with each member finding their space, the rhythmic slurping of Gong Gong's noodles oddly underscored the tension of her financial juggling act among receipts and audits. Her eyes drifted over the room, settling on family history etched into the walls. There, amidst memory's mosaic, was a snapshot of Joy, younger, her smile devoid of the burden she carried now. The apartment's chaos mirrored Evelyn's inner turmoil. Amid the relics of their lives, she stood as a statue in a spinning world, the tremor in her hand holding a receipt betraying her stillness, a forgotten transaction now emblematic of deeper losses. Waymond approached, his soft query in Cantonese cutting through.
Evelyn, what are you doing?
She didn't respond.
Evelyn, what are you thinking about?
Their shared language transcended speech. Then from Evelyn a sound rumbled forth, primal, neither entirely within her nor part of the world around her. It emanated from her core, a silent scream seeking resonance in the vastness around her, a cry for connection she feared would find no answer in the universe's vast expanse. Waymond's question hovered in her mind. What are you thinking about?
Hi, thank you for watching. So, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Lucas, an indie author, and you just watch my novelization series. Basically, it's one of the ways I can show how to show don't tell for all the writers out there. Just think less character introspection, more character action to make the prose read more like a movie. At least that's one of the ways on how to make your prose flow well. There will be some novelizations coming more in the future, so stay tuned for that. And please like and subscribe. Buy one of my books if you want. And I'll see you in the next one.